All right, and we are live at 5 o'clock. Welcome to another episode of Take 5 at 5. And my name is Luhan. I'll be your host for today. And I'm very happy and excited to host Fabian Fidelis today. And this is a topic that is very exciting, very interesting for us to explore today. And it's called Five Languages of Appreciation. So if you've ever heard of the Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman, this might be something that you may not know about that, hey, did you know that we could use the five love languages at the workplace? So this is something that we're going to explore with Fabian Fidelis, Managing Director of Proactive Training, Sdn Bhd. So if you are tuning in right now, please let us know in the comments below, in the chat box. Just say hi, let us know where you're tuning in from. And without further ado, let's bring in Fabian here on the show. Fabian, hi.
Hello, Lohan. How are you?
Hi. Welcome to Take 5 at 5.
Thank you for having me on your show today. Very honored to have a chance to share some of the information with your listeners and also your viewers.
All right, excellent. So we're just gonna dive right in, and I think the context of this that I would like to kind of explore here is that I think all of us have gone through a situation like this where we give something, like let's say we go on a holiday and then we come back to the workplace and we give a gift to someone, right? And then it's something that we think is very thoughtful, but people don't seem to appreciate it, right? I think a lot of us have experienced something similar like that. Could you share with us why that happens according to?
Actually, based on the language of appreciation, the situation is like this because sometimes we actually speak different languages of appreciation, right? Like for example, just give you a very simple analogy. Like for example, I'm very fluent in speaking English, right? But if I were to meet, say, a Frenchman who doesn't speak English at all, and I appreciate him, I say, hey, thank you very much for doing a job, good job. But for him, he listens to the language, he can't understand. So for him, he speaks in French, so it's a different language altogether. So then my appreciation, although I'm sharing an appreciation with him, but he somehow or another don't get the message or don't receive the message properly. So according to Dr. Gary Chapman and also Paul White, they actually wrote a very interesting book. It's actually called The Five Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. So they share about how this will actually be applicable as well in the workplace, and how you can actually use this as a magical formula for you to be able to communicate better with your colleagues, with your customers, even with your bosses as well. And once you apply this, it will make people feel more appreciated in the right way, and at the same time, you don't actually waste your energy and waste your time to appreciate the person in the wrong way and don't get the results at the same time. Yeah, so right. It's a very, very powerful. That's why we call it the magic. It's a magic, like a magic formula that you can actually use, and I'll be sharing with you today a little bit about it,
right,
as well.
Okay, perfect. So I just want to take a moment to say hi to our audience who are tuning in today. So Chi Seng, hi. Muihan, hi. Ben, hi. Julia, hi. Thanks for tuning in today. So if you have questions or if you're familiar, you have input, do share with us. If you have experiences as well, do share with us in the comments below. So I just want to dive in straight away and to talk about, we're now living in a very interesting era right now, right, Fabian?
Yes, that's right.
And there are people working remotely, people working from, different kind of work schedules, alternate days and kind of thing. So does this still apply? Before we dive into these languages,
Sure.
Does this still apply in today's new norm?
Right. In actual fact, it actually applies even more because now, you can't see the person face to face. Yeah, you can't meet them in the office. Like, for example, if I'm a boss and my staff are all working remotely. So how can I appreciate them in a more effective way now, rather than last time I can go over to their desk and talk to them and so forth, but today I got to only meet them over Zoom, for example, or meet them in a remote type scenario. So I got to find a new way for me to appreciate them, so that they will be able to follow, and continue on with their good work as well. So remotely, it is even more critical, and there are many ways. After we shared with you the ideas, I'm sure you also will have your own ideas as to how you can actually appreciate your staff remotely, and also for your colleagues, those who are working with each other remotely, how we can appreciate each other remotely as well, using the languages. So,
right. Okay. So for those of you who are tuning in right now, type 5 into the comment below if you have heard about the 5 love languages or the languages of appreciation. Just so we get to know our audience a little bit. We want to get to know you a little bit, and so we can tailor the content. So if you have heard of this, if you have read the book, or if you're familiar, you have attended any of these trainings before, type 5 into the comments below, so that we know that you are familiar. All right, so while we give the audience some time to get that in, let's dive into what are the 5. Let's take a look at what are the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace.
Great. So actually, the 5 languages are the one similar to the love languages as well, which actually will consist of 5 key areas, key languages. Firstly, of course, it's called the words of affirmation. Words of affirmation. It's the language of the words that you use, either in spoken or written languages. And then the second one is about acts of service. What you can do to appreciate a person, usually in a physical manner, or in even now remotely. You can do acts of service as well. The third one is about receiving gifts. So sometimes these are very common that you think will be a way to appreciate a person, but there are some missteps to it as well, which I'll share with you. And then the fourth one is, of course, quality time. How you can actually give very good attention to the person in terms of good conversations and so forth, in terms of quality time. And last but not least is about physical touch. Physical touch are the normal things that handshake and high fives and so forth. So there are 5.
And that's an interesting one that we're going to explore. Physical touch. I think it's something interesting because I think it makes sense when Dr. Gary Chapman was talking about the 5 love languages. There's a lot of intimacy in couples, and touch is obviously something very important in a relationship. But how does it work in a workplace? That's something we're going to explore in the later part of this show. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has responded with 5. So quite a number of our audiences here are quite familiar with the love languages, and they have heard of it somewhere. So we can dive deeper, Fabian. I think we can.
Oh, that's great.
Right?
We can go deeper. That's great.
And find some of the key points that maybe we tend to miss out or we tend to overlook when we are making use of this. All right.
Sure.
So let's go into the first one right now. The words of affirmation.
I think before we even go to the first one, we may need to identify how can you know your own language. So I think it is quite critical for us to actually identify our own language as well. We may think we know, but then sometimes we may have a misconception of it. That's the challenge. That's that. So of course, if you're actually going to be reading the book, they do have an evaluation that you can take. However, most of the time, in the workplace, we don't have the opportunity to do the evaluation. So there are actually 3 steps now. That's how you actually can know what is your love language. First one, of course, observant, by observant behavior. So a person who has, say, for example, acts of service, he or she would actually be liking to do acts of service for others. So he or she would, be very happy when they are doing something, to appreciate someone by doing something for them. So usually the person who has that act of service would also like to do it themselves. Their own behavior would be that way. So by observing the behavior, we will be able to identify roughly. A person who likes gifts, for example, he loves to give gifts as well. So this is the behavior that they have. And most of the time, the second way is, of course, by how they request for them to be appreciated. For example, the person with physical touch, you say, hey, give me a high five, give me a hug. You're supposed to say thank you to me, So they won't say that, but they will request for the thing that they feel most appreciated in. So again, through your observation and seeing what their request is, you can also identify. And the third one, of course, to listen to their complaints. So when they complain about certain things, ayo, my boss didn't say I did a good job, ayo, I did a good job, but he didn't say anything. So when you hear this complainer, he knows already that this guy, maybe he needs words of affirmation. So he or she would require this type of language to be spoken to them to be appreciated. So there are three areas. So observe, and then see what their request is. Of course, listen to their complaints. So these are the three to help you to identify. So once you identify, then you as a person who wants to interact with the person you are appreciating, let's go diving into the first one, which is basically words of affirmation. Now, in words of affirmation, we have to understand that there are it's a very important thing to remember. If you look at the first slide that we are going in, it has to be specific. When we actually wanting to say, thanks to the person and tell them that they did a good job, we must be specific. Don't say just, hey, good job, good job, good job, good job, good job. Hey, good job, you did a good job. When you consistently just say, hey, you did a good job, it has no meaning. So you have to really go specific. Like, for example, you can say, hey, good job on the project that you did. Hey, good job on the measurements that you made, or it was so accurate that our clients were very impressed. So something very specific that the person can really absorb it and be appreciated for their job. And then, of course, it can be also given publicly and privately as well. So who do you give publicly and who do you give privately is very important as well. This comes into the personality of the person. So for introverts, for example, you please do give them privately. Don't give them publicly. If you give them publicly, they will feel very stressed. So you have to give them privately. Whereas for an extrovert, for example, call the whole office, and say, hey, this guy did a great job on the measurement, blah, blah, blah. Share with them. That's the way to go about it. So words of affirmation is a very powerful tool. You can do it either in writing or you can do it in spoken as well. So there are many ways of doing it. And also,
so the first words of affirmation, the first language of appreciation is the words of affirmation. And since a lot of our audience here are familiar with the 5 love languages, I just want to ask, is words of affirmation in your top 3 love language? If it is, type words into the comments below, so we know. If that is something that you that speaks to you, words. And I really like what you mentioned, Fabian, and of that it must be specific. I think I'm quite a wordy guy myself, and I think it's really like there was this term that someone shared with me. It's called city noise. At first we notice like the noise in the background, in the city, but after a while we just don't hear it anymore. So it's just like, people just say, good job, done.
Good job. Yes.
Right. After a while, it just kind of like passed through and
it's nothing already. Yes, right.
Right.
So when you go specific, it will stick to the person. It will actually be meaningful to the person. So you are also speaking the right language that appreciates the person for their job. So that's very, very important.
Right. Excellent.
Okay.
All right. So Julia says words. Yeah. Great. Okay. So language of
Julia, thank you very much for your comments. So I have to use very good words for Julia as well, because these are all the wordy people. So we have to use good words as well. Yeah. Thank you very much, Wachak, for that.
Right.
Comments.
All right. So let's move on to the second one, Fabian.
Yes. So words are very important. So however, there are some people who actually require this second one, which is more into quality time. What is quality time on the top? So quality time, like for example, sometimes you have your staff, your junior staff, you pay them a certain amount of money and, you get them to do the job. But sometimes when they are there, they are wanting to do the job. They are not there to just gain experience, but they are there to learn from you as a leader. Right? Learn from you as a leader. So sometimes it's very good to reward them also with quality time. For example, you can say, hey, he did a very good job in the project. So instead of just telling him good job because he's not, he wants quality time, you say, hey, Simon, if you don't mind, this during lunchtime, I would like to have a sit down with you for lunch and have a chit chat with you. I would like to share with you some of my life experiences so that you can actually benefit from some of my experiences as well. So you sit down with him for the lunch, have a chat with him, and then also share some of your experiences, mentor him, coach him. Then he feel, oh, my boss really knows how to appreciate me, right? He knows that I really require the quality time, the experience with him, and that makes a lot of difference when I come to work. So we need to really focus our attention, give them the quality conversations that they want, and make it very meaningful. And this way, they will stay with you. That's why sometimes, when the bosses leave, the staff follow them. Why? Because they give them really good quality time and really, nurture them in that way. So that's why bosses really can attract the people who actually work with them to follow them when they move as well. So this is what I mean by quality time. Yeah. So it's very important to remember this also can be applied at home. So as well, especially with your children as well. So, give them quality time. Sometimes they may need that, not just the gifts or just good boy. You have to give them quality time as well. Yeah.
Right. So, okay, if you are tuning in right now and quality time is one of your top 3 languages of appreciation or love language, type time into the comments below. Yeah, if you would like some what we call uninterrupted quality conversations, type time into the comment sections below. And I have a question for you, Fabian.
Yes.
Time is so precious to us, right? So if let's say I'm a team leader or I'm a manager who manages a few staff, let's say 3 to 5 staff, just not many, and all of them require quality time. How do I manage that? I can't keep, how do you balance that?
Yeah, quality time doesn't need for you to just go, like example I give you, go for lunch with them. No, it's not that. It's also about the quality time. Like for example, a very simple thing that really irritated one of the managers that I was coaching. He said the staff was complaining. He said, "Hey, my boss, this guy was a quality time guy. He said, my boss, I WhatsApp to him. It takes so long for him to reply." So even that WhatsApp, the time taken for WhatsApp also makes a lot of difference. So when you appreciate the person, you give the attention when they need help immediately. If you can reply, it makes a lot of difference. So even if you have 5 staff, so you don't need to call them for lunch all the time, but these small things that when they request for certain things, when they want to see you, then your door is open for them. You're available on WhatsApp for them. So these are the small things that makes a big difference. So it's not about spending a lot of time, it's about quality time. So that's where
it's really not the quantity that matters.
Not the quantity. Yes, it's about the quality. If you have the quality that you actually offer, including attention, speed of response, all this will come to play as well. So it's vital to pick it up. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, it really stressed back the point of, I think it's also reinforced my understanding that it's the quality of attention rather.
Quality of attention
giving to that person. Yeah, like they're 100% present with them.
Correct. Especially also another application is maybe during Zoom. Yeah. So if you actually focus your attention on them, that's the quality time that they need you there, rather than they are having a meeting, then you go somewhere. So all these small things that makes a lot of difference.
Right. Yeah, we have a great input from Huat Chai, our audience here who is listening in. He says it's about meaningful moments with our staff.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I fully agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's very apt. Thank you for that. All right, so let's move on to the third language of appreciation.
So the third language is about receiving gifts. Yeah. So this is, a lot of people, they would think that this is the most common. Usually if somebody does something really good, you give them a gift. They reach a milestone in their work. After 15 years, they give them a gift. It's their birthday, birthday celebration, celebration. But in actual fact, some people don't like it at all. They don't like it at all. Their language could be words of affirmation or quality time, but there we are giving gifts away. So we're giving gifts to them, and then we're bringing them up on stage and, recognizing them with a watch, for example, which in actual fact demotivates them, right? If I'm an introvert person, for me to go up on stage, it's really demotivating already. Giving me a gift when I need quality time is also another demotivation. So, but the company or the manager may not understand this and then keep on doing it. And then wonder, how come this guy, after he received his 15 years, he leaves? Yeah, because
Right.
on the 15 years guy, he feels very demotivated. He said people are not appreciating me in the right way. I'm doing so much work. I just like to have quality time, like for example, extra day offs. But here you are giving me a watch. For what? I got so many
But to the
watches.
company, they are like spending a lot of money. Like, hey, we are buying
Yes,
watches, we are giving you
correct,
birthdays, every month.
correct,
We're
correct.
spending a lot of money. I think would you say
Yes,
this is one of the most common ways that
that's the challenge. I had
organizations, right?
That's right. I had a case, where it was we were having a program. He was the
Yeah.
managing director and his staff, So before we started the program, he was shouting at them. He said, "Hey, you guys, I did a family day for y'all now with all the gifts that I'm going to give y'all now, but then some of you never come. How come lah like that? So no
Right,
appreciation.
right. They
But
organize like
some of them
mini
they say,
parties,
yeah,
right?
exactly. So for them,
Exactly. Yeah,
they
yeah.
feel very stressed to go to these parties. So they would like to have quality time with their families, for example. Yeah. So I shared with him, and then I said, why don't you just buy tickets for them to go, with their families to the cinema, for example. They will enjoy that even better rather than coming for this family day, which
Right.
they want it. We have to look at things from a different angle now to see how the languages work and how we can actually talk the right language to the colleagues that we have, the bosses, the staff, the customers, especially customers as well. Sometimes we give them a lot of free gifts, but it's not what they want. They want the quality service, the quality
Right.
time. They complain. And they're not getting that. They say, this company is lousy. Like giving me this gift and that gift is like a bribe to me. So that becomes a negative effect, even worse. So that's a scenario. Yeah? So just
But
keep this.
there are people who are their language of appreciation is receiving gifts, right?
Yes,
And you mentioned here it's not about the money value, but about the
correct,
emotional thought, right? So
correct.
before we dive into it, if you are a gift person, it's very
Mm.
interesting. If gift is your top three language of appreciation, type gift into the comment below so that we can know what of our audience here. But do share with us, Fabian. What do you
Yeah,
mean by the emotional thought rather than the money value?
sure. This one, firstly, to recognize these people, you go to the office, you can see all the small toys that they have on the cubicle. These are the people that really like receiving gifts. So the money value isn't significant. Me, like for example, the boss goes for holiday. The boss comes back, buys a small souvenir for you. Wow, this person feels, wow, the boss go for holiday also remember me, right? So even the small thing, it can be a 15 ringgit thing or 10
Right.
ringgit thing, but the meaning of it, the appreciation is multifold. The money value is not significant, but the emotional thought is impactful. So it is, and also like for example, a wedding. Sometimes we tend to give ang paos away, but to a couple that likes receiving gifts, they would really prefer that you put some thought into buying something that they would be able to utilize, something meaningful for them, rather than just like ang pao, which is
Right.
less emotional. So that's a scenario.
So I think the
So
key word
sometimes
here is personalized, right?
personalized, yeah, emotionally
The thought process.
personalized. It
Right,
works
right,
into that
right,
way. So
right.
if you have a
Wonderful.
loved one, that really likes gifts, then every birthday, every anniversary must think properly what they really like, and then do it that way. Then
And
you
what
can
would
be
be meaningful for them, not for you, right?
correct.
What's
Exactly.
important.
It has to be meaningful for them, not about what you like to give, but also what they would like to have received. So
Right.
that's why getting gifts is not as easy as you think.
Excellent. So we do have a few gifts people in the audience today. So
Oh, wonderful.
Moy gifts, he says meaningful gifts, definitely. Chantel says, yes, agree the gifts, the thought that counts. Yes, yes, yes.
Correct.
Thank you so much for your input. Let's move on to the fourth language of appreciation.
Yes,
Yeah.
the fourth language. So the fourth
Okay.
language is acts of service, of course. Yeah. So this is something that we have actually experienced, and most of the time, our mothers, we tend to appreciate them during one day of the year, which is Mother's Day. Unfortunately, a lot of the young people nowadays only wait for Mother's Day only to appreciate mother. But your mom, uh, they they are people who are actually they have acts of service as one of their main criteria. They will do things for you very unconditionally and so forth. So sometimes they may have this language, and for you to buy gifts for them, buy things for them, sometimes it doesn't mean a lot, doesn't show that you're appreciating them. So perhaps, if you help out a little bit, you bring, take the rubbish out, or you do, certain laundry, help them out, then they will feel, wow, this one really appreciated. So they will actually have that as well. So I had, a case whereby, I was doing a corporate program. So the boss was telling me, Ayo, I keep on buying flowers for my wife. I gave her presents, gave her chocolate. She always not happy. I don't know why. And then when we finally met up with the wife, I was asking her, I say, how you like to be appreciated? And they said, my husband, if he brings out the rubbish every day for me, I'm very happy. But he always gives me this present, a waste of his money. So for her, she's speaking French, but he is speaking English. So again, there's a miscommunication. So although to him, he's appreciating her with chocolates and gifts, but her language is not receiving gifts. Her language is acts of service. And the way for him to appreciate her is by doing something for her. And then when you have that, he feels very appreciated. So you have to be aware also of your spouse as well. Yeah.
Right. So if you're tuning in right now and acts of service is one of your top language of appreciation, type service into the comments and let us know what is it that makes you feel really appreciated. Is it like people taking out the rubbish for you? Is it, sometimes I know people who like when you drive someone to some place to do their grocery shopping. I think they really appreciate that for people.
They appreciate it. Yes, a simple act like driving. Like the thing that we talk about, do it for someone, something for others, do it their way. So like, for example, you want to bring, just a coffee for your colleague, but do be careful, the coffee that you bring is not just a service, but you must know it is their way or not. Maybe this guy is a tea person and you bring in every day, you bring coffee for them, but actually they don't like coffee at all, they want tea. So do ask the person, how do you want your beverage? Would you like coffee or tea or chocolate or whatever? I would like to do it for you. Yeah, your way.
What kind of tea you like?
And what kind of tea as well. Yeah, sometimes you give them the wrong tea, they also feel appreciated that way. So be aware of it. That's how to do it. Right.
All right. And, thank you. Yes, shall we move on to the next one?
Sure. And the last one, of course, is physical touch. Now, in the love language, yes, physical touch is so important. However, in the workplace, there is a little bit of sensitivities with regards to physical touch, especially in our environment, in our culture. Physical touch is not so welcome, but there are people who require physical touch as a means of being appreciated as well, one their languages. So we can do things that are safe, like for example, shaking hands, for example. Sometimes I've seen people shake hands. They shake hands, but they shake hands with a very limp way. Not really putting in the effort to really wanting to get to know the person. So these are things that means a lot to a person who needs physical touch. Yeah. So a very good handshake, will show the sincerity of it, or a double handshake will show the sincerity of your handshakes as well in a business environment, right? Sometimes even to the extent of when you are with teams, younger teams, they love things, like the high fives. Maybe high fives are really old fashioned. The fist bumps, or I don't know what you all are doing nowadays in terms of doing the handshakes, right? So even the pat back will be really good. So, but do be careful because sometimes in terms of physical touch, we do have the gender issue, right? So male, female gender issue, you have to be aware. And also, sometimes if you go overboard, you may get into a deep trouble in terms of sexual harassment and so on. So be aware of the physical touch. And of course, understand what is acceptable, what is acceptable, what is culturally acceptable that you can do, and also what is not acceptable, please do not do. And don't go overboard with it. Yeah, so most important. And you'll be surprised that some people don't like physical touch. And if you go and do physical touch, you make them feel very uncomfortable as well. So be aware, if a person's language is not physical touch, do not use this language on them, or force this language on them. May be a bit detrimental. Instead of more motivating them, it becomes a detrimental effect. Yeah, so that's the case. So be aware of this.
You are tuning in right now and you are a physical touch person. Just type touch into the comment box below. And I think you're right, Fabian, this is a very cultural sensitive language, right? Because we know in a very Western culture, it's very common for them to hug, to do the kiss on the cheek. But I think in Asian countries, sometimes, people are not even comfortable with a hug. Some people are not even comfortable with any form of touch. So I think this is definitely, we need to understand what is acceptable and don't overdo it. Yeah.
I think also in the new norm with MCO and so forth, I think touch will be we are going to be limited with regards to this
Right.
language. So those who have this language may find a bit stressful. The MCO and social distancing they are so used to hugging each other, for example, or fist bumping, and now they can't do it. So
Right.
it may be a bit of an issue. So for if you're managing this group of people, then give them outlets, ways for them to be able to do virtual touches or something like that. So you have to figure out a way to be able to do that,
It's
because
something
they
that
won't
we
be
need
able
to
to
figure out, virtual touch.
Yes, that's right. That's why sometimes now they have the claps and everything, which is virtually done, so
Right.
you can actually.
Right. Just want to highlight a comment here from Seng B. He says, first meeting, try not to touch first. This is something of very good advice, which I wish I knew. I wish I knew this when I was younger, because I did try with a client. So yeah, but she was cool about it. So
Okay.
all right. So let's just wrap this up and let's look the 5 languages of appreciation. So the idea here is definitely to learn what is your co-workers, what is your clients, what is your customers' language of appreciation, and use that in the way that they want. I think this runs across all. Whether they like tangible gifts, they like quality time, they like words of affirmation, or maybe it's acts of service, or maybe it's physical touch. But it's using it towards what they like, right, Fabian?
Yes.
So
and you can motivate them. Yeah, actually, it's a motivating factor as well. So because appreciation is a very powerful tool. When somebody does something very well, somebody does something which is very promising, we would like to appreciate them in the right way to get the most motivation, the most impact. So do remember that each of us have our own the different languages, and use it accordingly. And I'm sure you'll be able to be a motivating leader as well.
Okay. Time for one question from Pat Chai here.
Sure, no problem.
Answer here. He says, among the 5, is there a research that shows which language is the most popular or common? I think this is a great question, because we all know, right? Which one is the safest bet, to go with?
Safest bet. Yeah, actually, I've been doing this program for quite a while, and usually after the session, I'll do a survey of my participants. The highest one normally is usually words of affirmation. So words of affirmation is most common. The least will be receiving gifts. Usually the least. So I think in the Asian culture, we actually do have that as well in terms of words of affirmation. But again, using it in the right way, making sure that it is something motivational, because those who have words of affirmation, they can also be brought down by words of negative words as well. So you have to be aware of your words in terms of that. Yeah. So one of the most popular is words.
That brings us to the 5:30 for 5:32. So thank you so much, Fabian, for your sharing today.
Welcome.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
If you would like to know more about Fabian's program or get in touch with him, you can get in touch with him through this. All right. His website and his email is shown here if you would like to take that down. That's how you can get in touch with Fabian and get to know him. Add him on Facebook so you can follow his sharings as well.
Yes, me too. If you have any other questions that you'd like to ask, not only about words of affirmation, it's about personalities and stuff like that, I'll be able to share with you some more information offline. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Fabian. And just let you know, tomorrow we are going to have a Take 5 at 5 as well. Please tune in tomorrow for our show hosted by Jack Tan with Sealing. Okay. And we are going to be talking about design thinking, right? So this is something that is very prevalent, very relevant at this point. So if you'd like to know more about design thinking and how it works, please tune in tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Until then, my name is Luhan. Thank you so much for tuning in, all of you, and for all your great inputs. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. See you guys.